Welcome to a very special Beaufort News. This week we're honoring our military veterans, and to help us do that we have Dwight Hora. Dwight, welcome.
Thank you, Kevin.
So tell me, what it is that you do here in the Lowcountry?
I am the Military Workforce Liaison for the Lowcountry Economic Alliance. I'm assisting exiting military members in their transition from the military to the civilian world.
It's a tall order.
Yes, it is.
So if I'm just getting off service and I'm looking to get myself a job here in the Lowcountry, are you the person I should be coming to?
I am one of many individuals, but what I do is I am providing services to the exiting military members in regards to counseling, resumes, interview skills, and also helping place them into jobs locally in the area.
That's great. So tell us a little bit about your service. And
I retired 2 years ago from the Marine Corps after 22 years of service.
Thank you for that.
My transition was a challenge to me. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what was out there in the civilian world. And I was given many opportunities in regards to going to school, figuring out a couple of different job options. And I got involved in some of the veteran initiatives in the area. Last year I made a cross-country ride on the motorcycle, and I've gotten involved in some of the veteran organizations in the area. One of the things I've discovered is that these individuals exiting today need support unlike any other time in our country, because they're dealing with technology, they're dealing with changes in the economy, they're dealing with many things that we haven't dealt with in the past in the military.
Absolutely. Share with us some of those things.
For example, one of the things is the pay difference. The military, in my mind, and that's just my personal opinion, I think is being well taken care of today. Let's just take, for example, an individual who's been in 10, 12 years. They're made the enlisted rank of E5 or E6.
Okay. Just for the civilian world, what's E5? Or
E5
what does the E stand for?
Enlisted, and they're the 5th rank with a total of 9 ranks in the enlisted ranks.
Okay.
So E5, E6 is about middle of the road. And their package, their entire financial package, is probably between 55 and 65 grand a year.
Okay.
When they leave the military, if they haven't gotten any specific licenses, any specific certifications, any degrees, they're going to be looking at about half of that pay in the civilian world. And that's a huge challenge. And trying to help them navigate that area it takes somebody one-on-one to be able to do that.
Very personal. You talked about certificates and degrees and things like that. How is it that someone who has a specific training in the military can transition that work experience into a general civilian resume?
Well, there's many ways you can do that, and it all depends on what their job is. Each state by state has different ways that you can turn your experience and your certifications in the military over to the civilian side. For example, if somebody drives one of them big trucks out of Afghanistan today, if they come back to South Carolina, there are ways that they can take that experience and their certifications in the military and transfer that over to a CDL Class A license in the state of South Carolina.
That's great. CDL?
Commercial driver's license.
Gotcha. So what else is there for people who have obviously a lot of experience in the military coming back? What do you recommend is the first thing that someone should do? What's the avenue that you should take if you want to get maybe out of that $30,000 to $40,000 range and back to a pay scale that you're more familiar with?
Talk with somebody about what their goals are and then how to achieve those goals.
So let's start. So if you have a younger family, think about the people, the E5, the E6 does, maybe 10 to 12 years experience. If you're someone who has 3 to 5 years experience and you're just coming back and you're here in the Lowcountry, where do you think someone should start?
Well, they could start with some of the individuals in the military can be very helpful. But if they contact me, I can be a resource for them and a guide and a coach to help them move in a direction that they're comfortable with. I don't just talk about, okay, what do you want to do? I figure out what are their goals, what are their interests, where is it that they're going, what is their education level, what is their experience level. You put all these things together, and then you're able to coach and guide these individuals in a decent direction that will be helpful to them.
It's certainly needed. Dwight and I are going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll talk more about ways in which military professionals can transition into the civilian workforce. And we'll talk about what employers can do and people in our community can do to help our heroes out. We'll be right back. Welcome back to our very special Beaufort News. Again, I'm joined by Dwight Hora, who is the Military Workforce Liaison at the Lowcountry Economic Alliance. Now, Dwight, we talked a little bit about what some of the things that you help people transition with are. And my big question is, for our community out there that really wants to be supportive of our military, what can we do? What can employers do? How do we get involved?
Employers, for example, I know that there are some companies out there that are coming up with some initiatives focused towards veterans. And some of these initiatives are going to be bringing veterans some good jobs with training involved.
Absolutely.
And if there are employers out there or individuals who are wanting to be helpful, they can contact me at the website or at my phone number and let me know that they're interested. I'd love to meet with them and find out how we can make this, make the gears come together, so to speak,
Thanks.
to help out those veterans.
So when a veteran walks into your office, what are some of the common questions they have, and what are some of the issues they have that we could work together to correct?
Biggest thing is, how is my resume?
Okay.
It's a challenge to transfer that, I call it the...
Highly specific. We joked about we didn't joke. We talked about the DD-214, for example, which is a discharge form that speaks to your military experience in terms that are known to the military. It's kind of like its own language.
Right. But the DD-214 really isn't very helpful in saying what you've done. In the military, you become institutionalized. Whether you're in for 4 years or whether you're in for 24 years. You learn how to speak a certain language, act a certain way, transfer information in a completely different way than the civilian world. Helping those individuals transfer that information into civilian speak is a challenge. But what they need is they need somebody like me who understands the military, but also understands the language on the civilian side to help them translate that information so that they can be represented on paper appropriately.
Right. And that's what you offer, is a lot of resume assistance.
Yes.
Are there any common problems that people walk in with beyond the resume?
They're looking for jobs.
And you can never find enough of those a lot of the time, huh?
Correct.
We talked about these things called soft skills. What are soft skills and how does the military enforce them?
Soft skills. A lot of people define these things in different ways, but the veterans today, what they're going to bring to a business is they're going to bring somebody who's dedicated. They're going to bring somebody who's got some loyalty, got some integrity. But one of the biggest things I hear from a lot of businesses is this person going to show up? You offer that veteran a job, you offer them stability, and 99% of the time you're going to find somebody who's going to show up for work, willing to work hard for you, and continue to do so because they want to improve their own standing, but also continue to improve what they do and how they do it.
Absolutely. Well, one of the things that we talked about as well is some of the stigma that comes with if a person has experienced a mental injury during their time in service. And one of the things that you mentioned is that some employers are actually reluctant to hire because they fear perhaps someone has that injury if they saw combat or any other reason where they might have like a PTSD, of course, is probably the most common. So how do you educate us out of our ignorance?
PTSD is a stigma. It's in the legal world, you're not able to ask medical questions. You're not able to ask if an individual's got PTSD or mental issues or some kind of disability. However, because everybody finds out very quickly you're a veteran, and they assume that you've been to one of the conflicts in Iraq or Afghanistan, they assume that you may have some issues. And they shy away from that. Now, I wouldn't say that that's a spoken word or an unspoken word. I just know that there are some resources out there that have found out that some businesses are doing that. And I'm not saying it's right or it's wrong. A business protects itself in any way it has to.
But our veterans are experiencing it.
Yes, they are.
So what would you say to an employer out there who might have some anxiety about hiring a veteran based off of something like that?
Have faith. Understand that the veterans today are focused, they're dedicated, and they're loyal. Just like anybody else, they may need some assistance, but they're focused and they're loyal and they want to work hard for you.
Well, before we lose you, as we run out of time here, we just want to make sure that everyone understands that your services are free.
Yes.
And if people want to contact you to assist them with their resume and everything else they might need, if they're a military veteran, how do they find you?
They can look on the website, the lowcountryeconomic.org or lowcountryeconomicalliance.org. They can also find my number on the website, and I believe it's going to be on this news program.
We'll get a graphic in there for you. Dwight, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Kevin.
The pleasure was really mine.
Yes, sir.
We'll be right back with Mayor Billy Kaiserling from Beaufort here on this very special Memorial Day edition of the Beaufort News. Stay with us.